gentlemen, welcome back to the channel one last time here tonight while we discuss WWE Raw March 31st, 2025 review. We kickstarted the show with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. John Cena came out, stood in the middle of the ring, was about ready to talk, and then Cody Rhodes cuts him off. Crowd reacts very loud for Cody Rhodes. They did the Cody Rhodes chant, and Cena approaches Rhodes and lifts the microphone, but Rhodes cuts him off. Rhodes says they've listened to him talk for 2 weeks. Rhodes is going to do John Cena's job for him. Cena is going to cook him and end him. Rhodes asks, where should we start? There's so much to make fun of. Starters. Rhodes admits he has a little bit of a lisp. Rhodes growls Stardust with his trademark lisp on full display. Shockingly, a Stardust chant picks up. Rhodes says that Cena has to be bothered that he'll be main eventing his final WrestleMania with so-called Stardust. In his final WrestleMania match. What else can Cena go at? Rhodes says he has an arm tattoo, but it's on his neck. The crowd sings Rhodes, Cody Rhodes again. Rhodes acknowledges the red hot crowd. Rhodes says he got booed in a company he created. Rhodes knew Cena would bite on any of that. Rhodes says he's struggling with the idea that Superman is really dead. A Let's Go Cena Sucks chant breaks out, and Cena puts his head down and shakes it in disapproval. Rhodes says that brings him to his next point. Cena's words haven't matched his actions. Rhodes thinks that Cena has lied to the audience for the past 2 weeks. He knows Cena cared about him at one point, but he knows for sure Cena cared about the crowd. Rhodes tells Cena to tell them really why. The crowd chants, "You sold out." Cena frowns. Cena says he won't reduce himself and plunge down to Rhodes' level. Rhodes has been protected long enough. Cena also isn't going to cook Rhodes. He's going to bury him, just like he's buried everyone else. They've been saying that for years, that John Cena buries talent. Cena doesn't bury talent. Cena is talent and buries mediocrity. Cena doesn't care about Rhodes' lisp or his failures. Rhodes has manipulated his way to the top of this business. Rhodes' ego outmatches his ability. All Rhodes has done is ride the coattails of Cena's success. I don't know how that's possible, but whatever. Cena has been so great that the WWE had to hand the heartbeat of this organization to his chauffeur. Cody Rhodes, your champion, is nothing more than Cena's chauffeur. Cena says Rhodes is a slimy pickpocket who thinks that he can run the kingdom because he stole the blueprint. That is Cody Rhodes' why. Rhodes with that title disgusts me. Rhodes sat by him for years and stole every secret. He needed to be undeniable, but still he's underwhelming. Cena tried to drill it into his egotistical skull. Cena told Rhodes to be authentic because they can see through his phoniness. Rhodes didn't listen, and it shows. Rhodes is too perfect, polished, and rehearsed. Rhodes relies on lazy gimmicks like the crowd singing his name to get by. The crowd sings Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, and Cena says Rhodes is like a Pied Piper because he took a catchy tune into a loving mediocrity. Strip away the music and the entrance, and there's nothing to look at except a pinstripe suit. Cena says, "You could walk me out here in silence and bet your last dollar that I would body you before your first breath. Cena says Cody Rhodes doesn't look like him, act like him, or work like him. Rhodes doesn't even act, look, or work like himself. After all these years, Rhodes is afraid to show who he really is. Rhodes instead gives a generic mix of every superstar he's ever loved or TV show he's watched. He's a big, confused blob. Rhodes is like a 16-year-old kid taking acting lessons who's afraid of public speaking. Rhodes has shown Cena only one thing. Someone mediocrity wearing something meaningful is enough to trick these people. Cena has worked too damn hard to make the title a symbol of mastery, to have it paraded around by a paint of numbers, sociopath Nebo baby, who is so into himself he had his wrestling gimmick tattooed for the world to see. It's not where his tattoo is, it's what his tattoo is that expresses him to the world for who he really is, a common fan, like the crowd. Nice shot. After WrestleMania will be great for Rhodes. Go straight to Fanatics and buy a toy belt. The last real champion is taking that title home forever and exposing him for who he really is, an errand boy who got lucky. Love it. Crowd is starting to chant for Cena. Cena says, "There's your why, pal." Rhodes says, "Cena may be right. He may be chosen. Does Cena know who chose him? The crowd chose him." The crowd gives him a decent response, and Rhodes asks, "Can you say the same, Cena? Or was it one guy in an office who chose you who isn't here anymore and we don't talk about?" Referencing Vincent Mann. Fucking love that comment by Cody Rhodes. Crowd gasps, and Rhodes says, "Cena can strip everything away from him. Who the hell knows who they are? He's Cody Rhodes. He's a wrestler like his father before him. If anyone is a company creation, it's John Cena, not Rhodes." Everyone is so terrified of Cena on the microphone. Rhodes says, "I'm not, because I know you've got more dick in that promo than you do in your jorts." Holy shit. Cena wants to make fun of him for appearing like a 16-year-old taking public speaking lessons while Cena hangs out with Zac Efron wishing he was 16. What a softball. Rhodes sarcastically thanks him, and Cena claims to have created this as well as Rhodes himself. All Cena did was create a lot of disenfranchised fans who made it easy for him to pack up and go elsewhere. Cena should not act like he left WWE better than he found it. While we're at it, there are two of them standing in the ring. Rhodes is going to ask something that'll punch a hole in all that logic between the two of them. Who sold out to The Rock? The crowd chants, "You sold out." Cena paces in the ring. Rhodes says, "John, you are. You're still my hero, but you're still a piece of shit." Wow. Crowd roars in approval, and Cena looks down and is smirking. The crowd chants, "Piece of shit." Cena says Rhodes is just like all the people. His brain is filled with feces and not facts. Cena says he's worked 100 times harder. Never once was he protected from a crowd or a superstar taking their best shot at him. Every time he steps on the canvas, it's an innovation for any arena or superstar to take their best swing to see if they're worthy of putting him in the ground. No one is worthy. Cena decided to do it himself. Cena has never left. He's always been here. No matter how high the hill is to climb or what garbage they give him, he finds a way to make it great. Cena says, "You had to leave because you realized Rhodes' best can't wipe my ass." Cena says, He's made empires for billionaires. All Rhodes has ever done is steal money from their kids. That was a fucking great line by Cena. Both of these guys in this promo were fantastic. Tit for tat. They went ahead and they fucking destroyed one another. I enjoyed this segment 100%. Cena continues on saying, see you at WrestleMania, champ. Cena goes to leave, but Rhodes stops him, and Rhodes wants to remind Cena that in all the time he's been here, never once has an audience chanted at him, "You can't wrestle." Cena stands on the apron and looks around as a light "You can't wrestle" chant fires up. Cena gets in the ring, and the crowd cheers. Cena prepares to square off against the Undisputed Champion before smiling and going to leave, and then Cena then turns and takes a swing, but Rhodes ducks and drops him with a crossroads. Rhodes stands over Cena and points at the WrestleMania sign. Rhodes picks up his title and Cena's hat before throwing the hat on Cena. Rhodes holds up the title and leaves. Great segment. Very good segment. And I think Cena is going to walk out as the champion. I really do. Unless there is some sort of favor that CM Punk's going to get from Paul Heyman to grant him a number one contenders match where he wins the triple threat and then goes into the world title match to win the WWE Undisputed title altogether. That would be interesting. That would be a little too convoluted, I think, and going a little too far. But in all honesty, I'm all for it. I like the unpredictability they're bringing back into this. There's a lot of scenarios that are now coming up that could happen that we don't know what will take place. But this should be a very entertaining... They seem like they got everything back on track to where they could make this exciting and get people intrigued by WrestleMania. But in all honesty, they got to keep up the momentum or otherwise it doesn't mean shit. That's all there is to it. Alright. So Io Sky will defend the women's world title in the main event against Rhea Ripley with Bianca Belair as a special guest referee. The New Day have their first match, and it's against the New Catch Republic against Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. This was a good matchup, but they unfortunately lost to the New Day. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston pick up the victory. Kathy Kelly stops the New Day on the ramps. She congratulates them on the big win over New England's own New Catch Republic. She asks if tonight's win further cements their belief that they deserve a tag team title shot. Woods asks if she's slow. They've deserved the title shot since day one. Kingston demands what they are owed and deserved. They want the tag team titles. Tag team champions War Raiders head to the stage. Eric and Ivar go face to face with the New Day, and they hold up their titles. And the New Day walk off. And that's basically it. Next, Jimmy Uso's taping up when main event Jey Uso walks in. Jay says he'd feel better if he were out there with Jimmy tonight. Jimmy says tonight is a bit different. He knows the world is doubting Jay, but he's going to go out and close the noise. The noise. Gunther is a big deal, but so is Jay. So is Jimmy. There is no ring general tonight. There's just a man who is beatable. Tonight he'll beat Gunther. At WrestleMania, Jay will beat Gunther and become world champion. They embrace and Jay pulls him close and says, "I hear you. Just be careful." They look knowingly at each other before Jay leaves. So, by the way, Mark Nash was actually commentating as the ring announcer. He he does ring announcing for the call-outs for the boxers in Top Rank Boxing, which I think is awesome. I like how they're bringing all these well-known guys that are involved in the sports field and actually are for legit sports for legit sports like boxing, basketball, football, whatever. Jimmy Uso went one-on-one with Gunther next. This was a good match. Match ended though with Gunther winning the match with a submission. He basically passed out. The referee called for the bell, and that was it. Gunther puts the world championship around his waist and goes to leave before turning around. Gunther grabs Jimmy Uso, applies this sleeper hold. Main event, Jey Uso runs down to save his brother. Jey takes Gunther down and punches away at him. Gunther rolls out of the ring, but Jey follows him out, and Gunther retreats through the crowd. We get back from commercial break. Gunther doesn't stop there. I was kind of like, no, this has got to continue, or otherwise this is a humongous bust for this entire segment, for this entire story for the world title. Sorry, my neighbor's, he rides bikes, and he's revving it up over there. But yeah, he gets his ass kicked, Jimmy Uso, bleeds to death, and Gunther pretty much did what Randy Orton did to Triple H back in 2009 leading up to WrestleMania 25. It was a nice touch. Jey was constantly trying to break free from being tied up to the rope, but couldn't. Very similar to what Randy Orton did to Triple H. Then Randy Orton kissed Stephanie McMahon on her lips, I believe, and it made things personal. I believe he did RKO her before that occurred. And so that's pretty much what occurred with that sort of situation. This was no different. Jey was tied up to the rope, watching Jimmy Uso just beat the living tar out of Jimmy, or Jey was tied up to the rope, and Jimmy got his ass beat. He got hit in the face with the championship, was bleeding all over the place. Very nice touch there. I was glad they put a lot of emphasis on the blood to make it more personal than it possibly could get outside of killing him. And he put him in a submission hold, and he told Jey, come on, save your brother, come on. And he's like, this is as close as you're going to get to the world title. He's showing it off into his face, yada, yada, yada. Pretty much putting more doubt into Jey Uso, which that doubt's going to be wiped away because he ain't going to be scared anymore because he's going to be pissed. And he ain't got nothing to lose at that point. So, and then he was covered in blood from Jimmy. I thought that was crazy. And he licked the blood off his fingers from Jimmy as well, which was another symbolization of what Triple H and Randy Orton did with Stephanie McMahon and that their rivalry during that time. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that segment a lot. Next up, Finn Balor is talking to Dominic Mysterio and Carlito. WWE Tag Team Champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez walk in. Balor says brothers fight like cats and dogs. Now the talk of adding a new member is behind them. Balor tells Rodriguez she had a tough loss, but he'll bring home the IC Championship. Balor and Mysterio walk off. Rodriguez tells Carlito to go away. Morgan tells Rodriguez they need to do something about Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. We have a tag team match with Braun Breaker and Penta versus Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. This was a good match. Unfortunately, Penta suffered the pinfall finally. Wasn't like he was going to stay undefeated forever. He got speared accidentally by Braun Breaker, and Finn Balor hit the coup de grace and got the pinfall for the victory, and that's how the match ended. Very good match. Nothing to complain about there. Chad Gable's backstage with Raw GM Adam Pearce. Gable puts over El Gran Americano. Pearce says Gable is still sick. Just like myself, I am sick as a fucking dog. Gable gives him a doctor's note. Pearce says that's a shame because Raw is in Minneapolis next week, Gable's hometown. Gable wants to compete in his hometown, but Pearce sarcastically says Gable's health is of the utmost importance. Pearce says El Grande Americano will compete on American soil. Angered, Gable walks away and stops before his former teammates Alpha Academy. Gable calls them clowns and calls Otis an idiot before walking out. Maxine Dupree says she wants to talk about Otis and Akira Tozawa and an idea she has with Natalia. Pearce says he's excited to hear about their futures. I'm not. I don't see any future for them outside of burials or doing absolutely nothing. Ripley's backstage preparing for the Women's World Championship match, which is the main event. Elsewhere backstage, Women's World Champion Io Sky is preparing as well with Dakota Kai. Kathy Kelly prepares to interview the IC champion Braun Breaker, but is quickly broken up by a furious Penta. Penta's held back by WWE officials. Penta calls Breaker stupid and it insinuates that he speared him on purpose. This is going to turn into a fatal four-way match for the IC championship at WrestleMania. And I think the guy that's going to win that championship is going to be Dominic Mysterio. It will not be Penta. I don't think Penta needs the IC championship at this point. I would say that Penta could get the IC championship from Dominic Mysterio later on down the road. I think a match between those two would be a fantastic matchup. I think they need to do something serious with Dominic Mysterio. I've been saying this for months now, since I've noticed the cracks coming through the Judgment Day's team. I really think it's time to make Dominic Mysterio stop looking like a schmuck. And Liv Morgan can be that person to help open his mind to the idea that he doesn't need to be a fall guy or a sidekick or anything. He could be a leader of this group instead of being some fucking geek who's clueless. Which later on in the show, he comes across being clueless when they go backstage after the match is over, celebrating, and Finn Balor saying he did it for the team, blah, 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 blah. He's going to win the IC championship for the team, and blah, 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 blah. And he's going to go talk to Adam Pearce about it. Liv Morgan, after that, states to Dominic when he leaves, he says, you know what, did you hear how he talked to you? Like, he acted like it wasn't we out there, it was just himself. And you were a part of that match, and you helped win that match with him. So it should have been we, not just about him. And she believes he deserves a lot better than that. To be quite frank with you, Liv Morgan has turned out to be a better partner with Dominic Mysterio, despite the fact that how they put them together by having him cheat on Rhea Ripley. But Rhea Ripley made him like he was her bitch. In this situation with Liv Morgan, she's making him look more like an equal and being supportive and wanting him to better himself instead of being a fucking sideshow clown. And that's what came across to me on this segment last night. I enjoyed it. I hope that they make Dominic Mysterio have a set of balls. They turn him into a leader of the Judgment Day, and they reveal who that new member of the Judgment Day is and kick Finn Balor out completely. That's the direction I would go. I've been saying that. I was hoping that we get this match in a one-on-one situation, but I'm okay with the idea if you put him in a fatal four-way where he wins the IC championship and then reveals the new member of the Judgment Day while also kicking Finn Balor out of the Judgment Day altogether, or They could do it in reverse and go ahead and just have one or the other, where they basically kick Finn Balor out of the group, lead this to a one-on-one match over the IC Championship at Backlash, and then they reveal the new member of the group for Judgment Day, maybe either an NXT call-up or possibly someone that's on the roster, hasn't been doing much of anything, and bring him into the fold. That's another way they could do this. So they got a lot of options here, and I think they could pull this off and make it successful. Next up was Logan Paul calling out AJ Styles. I don't understand the point behind this. Sorry. But AJ and Logan Paul really don't have any major story here outside of they're going to have a great match. Strictly just competition only. Their only legitimate reasoning behind why they would possibly put a match like this together is the fact that Logan got interactive with a fan that was a celebrity and was going to strike him, and AJ was not not okay with that, and he stood up for the celebrity, and that's basically where the storyline's coming from. Nothing else. It's competition and one incident that occurred. So there's nothing really heavy occurring here to make you go, wow, this is WrestleMania deserving. This could be a Monday Night Raw main event match, honestly. You don't even have to book this for WrestleMania. Based on the level of the match, storyline-wise. So the crowd is chanting for him. Styles mentions that Logan Paul said he would call him out, but he's tired of waiting. If Logan Paul has something to say to his face, he can come out and say it right now. Logan Paul's music hits and he comes out to loud boos. Paul grabs the microphone and says Styles wouldn't understand because he doesn't have the same level of fame as a global phenomenon who's extremely rich, loved by everyone, and good looking. Everyone is on his time. Styles laugh. If Paul wants to make the crowd wait, they'll do as they are told because they're sheep and will wait. As for Styles, Paul is cut off by a shut the fuck up chant, and Paul says he's had a change of heart. He's a girl dad now and is trying to teach his daughter the art of forgiveness. The crowd boos. Paul says he forgives Styles for what he did to him at Madison Square Garden. However, he doesn't forget, so he had better not do it again. A do it again chant picks up. Styles says he has a daughter and forgives Paul as well. An AJ Styles chant picks up. Paul is confused and asks why Styles forgives him. Styles says, I forgive you, Logan Paul, for being the biggest douchebag to ever step foot in the WWE ring. The crowd cheers and Styles says Logan Paul brags about his success and money. Fans don't care about that. They care about what you're willing to sacrifice in the ring for them. Paul has all the talent in the world, but in this business, talent will only get you so far. Yeah, storytelling is what gets you so far. What Paul is going to do, what is Paul going to do with it? Paul says he'd ask Styles' advice, but they say you shouldn't take advice from people who wouldn't want to trade places with. The crowd chants at Paul. Paul tells London that they're broke. Styles tells Paul to not write a check his ass can't cash. Paul asks if that's a threat. Styles says this is Monday Night Raw and they're in London, England. Styles has his gear on and is standing in the middle of the ring. What does Paul think? Paul thinks he's done talking. Paul says he does not fight for free. This is a city that can't afford him. This is a city that is broke. Paul points to people in the crowd and calls them out for being poor. Like to know what the fuck they're doing there if they're paying out all this money if they're poor. Paul says Styles wants the big money match with Logan Paul. Maybe he should set his sights a little higher. Paul points at the WrestleMania sign and obviously is making this legit. Hasn't been made official yet, but Paul goes for a kick. Style blocks it. Style punches away at him and goes for a Styles clash. A Styles clash. But Paul gets out of the ring. Styles follows him out and ducks a right hand. Styles slams Paul's face off the commentary table and puts him in the ring. Paul quickly snaps the rope into Styles' groin as he enters the ring, and Paul connects with a Verser. Paul walks off after that. Oh, moving on from Logan Paul and AJ Styles. We get a replay of the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther use a zip tie to trap main event Jey Uso to the middle rope. Gunther then beats Jimmy Uso up, blah, 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 blah. We already know all that. Judgment Day is celebrating backstage. We already talked about this, where Baylor pretty much takes all the credit for what he did in that match and says he's going to go talk to Adam Pearce about adding him to an IC Championship match at WrestleMania, I believe. Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky with Bianca Belair as a special guest referee was next and the main event. This was a good matchup. Despite the ending being a double disqualification, considered to be a no contest, this was a good match. I enjoyed this match for what it was. Rhea Ripley at the end of this stood tall in the middle of the ring, beat both of the women up, and held the Women's World Championship in the middle of the ring, and that's how the show went off the air. Again, I liked the matchup, but I've heard on several YouTubers' reviews that they've heard people complaining that the Women's World Championship match should be the main event, not the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins match. I disagree because of the names. Names bring in money. If you don't have the top-notch names in the main event, what are we fucking doing? Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, they're good wrestlers, but at the end of the day, they're not at the level of a Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. I'm sorry. All they need to do is implement something more enticing towards this match, and they already got people sold on it as a main event match. And that's just the way I feel about it. I don't know what you guys think. I hope that you see where I'm coming from on that, but if not, I mean, I get that it's a world championship match. If it wasn't for the triple threat match between these three men, I would say, yeah, put it in the main event of night one. But in all honesty, I would. I say that the Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk match deserves the main event spot. And that's what it's getting. So that's the end of that conversation. And that's all I have to say at this time, guys. So if you enjoyed this review, by all means, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.